Hi everyone, it's Roxanne. I'm going to go over how to use formulas in a word table. I've got a table here that I just created. It includes some numbers and I've added a total row, an average row, a minimum, maximum, and count row. So that's some basic formulas that Word offers, and I'm going to explain how we use them. So Word tables are set up just like an Excel spreadsheet in the cell counting. So your first cell is going to be A1. If they're all merged together, it's still just A1. And then you have A2, A3, A4, and same thing. B2, B3, C2, C3. Same thing as if it was in Excel. So for this situation, we need to pay particular note to the cells that actually have the numbers in it. So for these here, it's going to be B, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so when we're ready to start a formula, we're going to put our cursor in the cell that we want the formula to be entered in. So first is our total, which is the sum of the numbers. So we're going to go onto our Table Tools Layout tab and click the FX Formula button. It's in the data group. So when you click the FX Formula button, Word pops up the little text box for you. And in this case, Word automatically tries to guess the formula you want. So there's numbers right above it. So Word assumes that you're trying to add the numbers above. And you are. So for this one, you can just say, okay. So if we tried the next one, it would be the same thing. So if, for example, above wasn't there, we could put in our cells B3 colon B7, close your bracket and say okay. It would do the same thing. So our next one, we can use our formula again. What if we didn't want the numbers above? For example, what if we wanted the numbers to the right? We could go in and choose the formula. And instead of saying above, we're going to say, I'm curious to see what it is to the right. And if we said okay, Word will look to the right and add the numbers that's there. So that all worked. Now it automatically puts above in, and this is what we need. And we'll put the total in as well. Now we can choose the total above, or if we didn't want to, we could choose the numbers to the left. And Word would have totaled these numbers for you. Okay, so now we're going to look at the average. Wondering why these two numbers are identical. Must just be a fluke, is it? Sorry, having a little double check here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to talk about average. So we're going to click our formula button again, and the formula button, the box pops up, and now we're looking to find an average. So Word is still trying to add the numbers above, which this is not what we want. So we're going to take out that formula. But just like Excel, every formula needs to start with an equal sign. So we can leave our equal sign there. And now we're going to choose. In the paste function is a list of different formulas that you can choose from. So we're going to choose average. And this time is not going to tell us above because that would also include the total, which would also give us the wrong number. So now we have to use our cells in this situation. So we're going to say B3 to B7, and we're going to say OK. And here's our average. We can choose minimum. We can go into our formula button. We don't want sum above. We're going to choose, make sure the equal sign is there. We're going to look for min, and the same thing, B3, B7. and that will give us our minimum. We can do the same thing for max. Take out the sum above, keep the equal sign. Now, if we know it's max, we can just type it in and continue our brackets, or you can just choose it from the drop-down list. So I've already typed it in, so I'll just carry on. So it's B3, B7. And count. So count is not really important in this table because we know there's only 5 items: rent, food, transportation, clothing, and miscellaneous. But in a table that was 10 pages long and we weren't sure how many there was, we can do count. So count is a count of the cells. Instead of totaling or adding them, it's just how many are there. So let's take this out and we're going to choose count. And same thing, we're looking at B3 to B7. So pretend that's a crazy big number and we'd say okay, and it tells us there's 5. Now, if you noticed, it automatically came in as $5. That's because the table is formatted to dollars. So let's take that out and have a look again. If we went back into our formula and we say count B3 to B7, make sure you use your closed brackets. There's also a number format option. So if you drop that number down, you can choose how you want your numbers to be formatted. So we just want a plain number. So we're going to choose just the 0. When we say OK, Word will count it for us. So that covers all the formulas that you're most likely going to need for a word table. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, of course, please ask me.